The heart's greatest
Plan.
challenge.
I do you. Not really that useful for. Oh, critical focus. Give a quick save, and then a heal. Yeah, the one thing I have to do is we have to. There it is. Which. Yeah, we've already spoken to you. You haven't been actually.
Godspeed.
I'm prepared.
Lan, you're like Speedy Gonzalez. I must admit, I thought it'd be a little bit closer to Thing. Come on, Lan. Go. Once he gets back, then I'll go get my drink. 'Cause I just realized I haven't got my drink yet. Ooh.
Meditate on your mistakes. It might make you feel better.
Okay, so I will be right back, guys. Okay. Get going. We have got... Well... We have got a fortress to take back.
Let us press on.
I thought the storyteller would be out here. I also apparently missed some loot. Whatever.
We march ahead.
Let's get inside the fort, citadel. Storyteller turns to you calmly. Long months have passed, Commander, but even while you were away on the other plane, I could hear your brave heart beating. That sound never stopped for a second. Erebeth looks at you as if unable to believe what's happening. Commander, you. For a while, she stands speechless. Finian laughs. You're a lively one, Grandpa Elf. Always find yourself in the most dangerous spots, but I'm afraid I'm still glad to see you, although you'd be safer tucked up by a fire somewhere. How have things been these past 6 months? Queen showed us nothing but respect and fair treatment. After she decided to proceed with the crusade, many of us chose to stay with you in order to protect the wardstone until your return. It was an easier decision for me than bollocks. It was the easier decision for me than others. I had encountered you in the abyss, and I knew you were alive, but not everyone believed me. And yesterday I had a vision. I was leafing through the pages you had collected for me. And then suddenly I saw the future. Not the future clamoring to be told by the page in my hand, but your future, the future of a person who brought that page to me. In my vision, you returned from the abyss, marked by new powers that would wound around you like a snake. Your voice made the earth tremble. People and demons dropped to their knees, and Iron Maiden herself extended you a helping hand. But the only thing you were concerned with was that whereabouts of the banner that Queen Galfrey had taken with her. The storyteller shakes his head. I know what I saw is difficult to believe, but I am in the habit of trusting my visions. So I hurried to the citadel to lay my hands on some of the Queen Galfrey's possessions and try to discern where she went and where your banner is now. My story is simpler, and Evier and I both agreed that we should stay here to wait for you. We are supposed to have served the Queen, but our hearts are here. Besides, you are still the commander of the crusade, and I have no right to abandon you. Even if there is almost no hope left. Although I must admit that the storyteller's tale about the vision of your imminent return seemed quite vague, I followed him here to make sure he didn't accidentally hurt himself. Erebeth smiles happily. I'm glad that you proved me to be right, and you really have returned. You know where the Queen went? It wasn't easy. I saw the Queen's future and her past as if looking through shattered glass. Multiple visions came one after another, distorting the picture. The Queen is in mortal danger, at the crossroads of her fate, and every step may prove fatal. But I did not give up, and fortune smiled upon me. I touched her goblin and learned where she was leading her army. Her Majesty decided to march is a bold move, one worthy of a queen who's not accustomed to hiding. My, that was indeed a bold move, my dear cousin, no doubt about it. As bold as stepping into a volcano. This is utterly anti-scientific, this is an utterly shit. Sorry guys, this is an utterly anti-scientific method of acquiring information, and that's what makes it so interesting. I'll have to conduct a series of experiments involving you, to establish how you react to various objects, to identify patterns in the amount of information that you receive from them. Storyteller smiles. You've already said that, in those exact words. You even conducted your experiments. You handed me some shards to hold. Once you brought me a huge club, and another time you gave me a live hedgehog, and then you said that the experiment was a failure and immediately forgot all about it. Really? Well, if I decided to forget all about it, that must mean I didn't learn anything of interest. I won't remember this time either. Then Neo winks and looks around. So, what were we talking about? Must hurry and help the Queen. Let's take Dresden back, Commander, and then we march onward. That place sounds familiar. Can you remind me of the details? Oh, the city that hangs over the abyss. It was once the citadel of legendary rulers, the capital of Sarkoris, but now the demons are tearing it apart and making a mockery of its former glory. 2/3 of its magnificent streets and proud towers have collapsed into the Worldwound. But the city still holds on, just as Sarkoris holds on, defeated but refusing to die. The Queen did the right thing. We mustered enough strength to try and go on the offensive. The first time since the First Crusade. If we don't recapture now, who knows how many years we'll have to wait for another opportunity to approach it. To arms! Time for the final battle of Dresden. Yes, your arrival has changed everything. Attacked by 2 armies, we felt like a dilapidated palisade on the verge of being swept away by the giant wave. But with your return, we've become an indestructible wall that will withstand any blow. I was afraid we would not be able to succeed without the banner. We may have the banner, not have the banner, but we're still here. We live to see you return. You truly are our banner, Commander. 2 arms. There's one more thing. The storyteller pauses for a while. In the shattered fragments from her fate, I can sense your presence, and I'm convinced that the Queen could sense it too. No one can say what your next encounter will lead to, but there is one thing I know for certain. Queen Galfrey's fate and yours are tightly intertwined. Oh no, there are too many of them. No, there's not, mate. This is useless. We're done for. A huge, oily Nasfeline is waiting for you with his arms folded. Here comes the commander, kids. So, Commander, do you like what you see? You arrived just in time to hear your friends screaming for help. They trusted you, and look what happened to them. You actually think you can rescue them? Who do you think you are? You shouldn't have angered our master, mortal. It will take away everything you have, and your mind and your flesh included belong to him now. I'll rescue my friends. Nasflasheen burst into laughter. I'll rescue my friends. And how exactly will you do that? You pathetic Galarian maggot. What can you do on your own without your army? Your inspirational speeches. Oh no, I'm so scared. And then all the pathetic defenders of Dresden will be inspired and turn into invincible force, huh? Yes, that's usually how it goes in fairy tales. You know what will happen next in real life? Your friends will rot in my lord's dungeon, and their bones will join the myriads of others. We'll wipe your army out, and you along with it. But I won't kill everyone. I'll lock you in a cage and start torturing your friends. Once I'm done with them, then they will come and spit in your face. They'll tell you themselves that what torment you're doomed to them. You doomed them too, sorry. We appointed you on the Maryland from Mars casualty. Time to end this mortal. He has nothing to surprise us with. You are a jumped up mortal insect. You're nobody. Where was the last save I made? Okay. We are going to just do a quick reload, guys. Pretty sure that was... Yeah, we're gonna do a quick reload. Don't worry, guys. The reason I'm doing this will appear very obvious in a moment. It's pretty much for my own side playability and having a look at the Golden Dragon class, because we are going to continue and end this in Angel, because that's what I said I was going to do. But I want to, for my own personal free time and maybe for a little bit of stream, show off a little bit of Golden Dragon stuff. But I would like a save that I can do it from without having to get in the way of my stream. So there we go. God, Dragon or Angel, which to pick? And now we can just go through all of the conversation again really quickly and skip it all. Actually, did I look what happened to my room? No, I didn't, because there's fucking loot in here.
I'm glad I was useful to you.
Leads on.
Also loot there. Hey, sorry about that, guys. We'll obviously go with the angel path. Let the darkness perish. Be gone from my world, demons. Power rushes through your body, almost ripping it apart. The wound in your chest bursts open in a spray of bloody droplets. The might bestowed upon you by the abyss and Arula Volesh erupts into this world, and you pay for it in a purest agony. Light suffuses you bright and shining. Light and the desire to protect your world at any cost. An incredible silence suddenly descends over the lower city, and it is broken by the solemn sound of fanfares that seem to come from far away, everywhere and nowhere all at once. All eyes are turned to the huge stained glass window of the city's main cathedral. It begins to glow with a soft light, and in the next breath, a lone figure steps out of the glass onto the cobblestone of Dresden.
Knight Commander, at last we meet.
There is no mistaking her, Iomade, the goddess who has deigned to descend to the world of mortals. Your companions shield their faces, unable to withstand her radiance. The surviving demons quiver and townsfolk fall to their knees, but the deity's eyes are on you, you alone. My goddess, praised be your name.
Rise. I have not come here to receive homage. I suppose you're asking yourself why I am here. Gods must not interfere directly in the affairs of mortals. But what is happening here, in the Worldwound, is no longer the concern of mortals alone. And this is proof. This fortress has witnessed so many horrors and miracles. It makes me wonder how it still stands.
For a moment, the goddess diverts her eyes from your face and looks out over Dresden, surveying the chaos caused by the recent battle and the manifestation of your powers.
I know how much light and hope you have brought to the Crusaders. Your achievements are indisputable. But during all that time, your followers believed that their leader was heaven's chosen. This is a bitter lie, and goodness and justice cannot be based on lies. The light that emanates from you is deceiving, and dangerously bright. It burns your companions, and one day it will burn you too. But I did not come here to reproach you, or to bewail the fate of the unfortunate defenders of Dresden. I wish to stop the forces of evil and defend Golarion, both from Deskari's violent rage and from Nocticula's insidiousness. But that is not my only goal. I have come here to restore justice, for justice is the birthright of all. That's why I hail you as a hero who has triumphed over the demons many times. At the same time, I grieve for you, as for a soul that is caught in a web of demonic deceit and villainy.
You're right, but what can I do about it?
I have come to help you. In that moment, when my poor herald was being torn apart by monsters, he found the strength to send me a message about what he had learned in the Abyss. You were in Illusionera, where you spoke with the Lady in Shadow and the Architect of the Worldwound. They confessed what they had done to you, but they did not reveal the whole truth. Both you and this unfortunate world will have to pay dearly for the power that they so generously bestowed upon you. But all is not yet lost. That is why I have come.
The walls of Dresden shake again, and with a ringing laugh, a black shadow appears before the shining goddess, Nocticula in the flesh. Standing beside her is Aurelie Vorlesh, who stares at the goddess with ice-cold rage in her eyes.
Who here has been taking my name in vain? Ah, it's you, the Inheritor. What's this? Our worst fears have come to pass. The gods are flocking to Golarion. This merry little tinderbox could ignite at any moment, reducing the material plane to dust.
I did not come here to fight.
Oh, really? I didn't realize you were good for anything else. Forgive me, that was unfair of me. Judging by your successes over the last 100 years, fighting is not your forte. After all, the wound is still there, as far as I know. So why are you here? If you have come to meddle in my affairs, don't expect me simply to stand aside.
Goddess, can you banish the spawn of the Abyss, or destroy them entirely?
I cannot do that, alas. I will not subject Golarion to the war between deities, which will surely ensue if I personally intervene in mortal affairs. But if the demoness wishes to be present for our conversation, so much the better. Do you hear me, Nocticula? You and your servant are under no obligation to leave. I have come here to shed the light of truth. Let us see if you both can withstand its merciless radiance. I cannot change the flow of mortal history by force. After all, the Worldwound is their doing, although committed at the behest of the Abyss. But sometimes force is unnecessary, and truthful words are all it takes.
The goddess who was mortal not so long ago is eager to judge us for our sins now. My sin, to be precise. What lies behind your eagerness, proud Iomade? Righteous wrath? Or perhaps fear? Watch out. A simple mortal woman has learned how to grant powers to others. Powers which are beyond the wildest dreams of many Imperial lords. This must be stopped, forbidden, taken away immediately. After all, what need will we have for all these arrogant gods once we become their equals?
Silence. It's impolite to interrupt your elders. But you know, Inheritor, she does have a point. What are you going to do now? Break my weapon, which has made so many victories possible, and only because he received that weapon from my profane hands, and the entire affair must therefore be profane also? What real reasons do you have? Save those born of your envy, your capriciousness, and your suspicions?
My reasons are quite real, as you well know. That is why you appeared here in such haste, is it not? You have woven a delicate lace of half-truths nocticula. From you and your servant, the Knight Commander has learned that he is bound to the Worldwound, that he is slowly dying because of its influence, and that he is yet capable of closing it. But you withheld a crucial piece of information. You never told him that closing the wound won't save him from death. For this lock will destroy the key to which it is bound. The one who closes the Worldwound will die along with it.
That is true. I tried to tell you back in Illusionera, but I was not allowed to. It is an unavoidable consequence of this process. To stitch two planes together as I have stitched Galarian and the Abyss, the soul of a mortal must be woven with the essence of the Abyss. To undo this seam, the original soul, the key, must be ripped apart. No one could survive such a process.
Aurelia's voice sounds almost indifferent. She doesn't look at the furious goddess. Her eyes are glued to you. In other words, I'll die if I don't close the wound, and I'll die if I do close it.
It is true. Now do you see the perils of accepting a demonic gift? No matter how much power the Abyss gives you, that power will always be tainted by lies and misfortune. This is the justice I promised you. The right to know the whole truth, and not to be a plaything in the hands of abyssal spawn.
Nocticular, were you trying to hide this from me?
Trying, you say? I successfully hid the truth from you for as long as I deemed necessary. Are you expecting me to explain myself? My goal is to close the Worldwound, not to grant you a happily ever after.
Goddess, can you help me cleanse my soul of the influence of the Abyss?
Aurelu has planted a piece of the Abyss itself in your soul. The only thing that can cleanse the soul of such a taint is that same soul. But I will be near. I will show you how to root out the demonic corruption. I am not a demon, and I do not offer any simple solutions. You will have to go your own way, no matter where it leads.
What if I reject this power?
You will live.
You will lose everything that makes life worth living.
You will spoil a brilliant endeavor and destroy the lives of thousands of mortals who will be devoured by the legions of demons coming from the Abyss. Aside from that, you won't do anything extraordinary at all.
Well, now I'm finally starting to understand the rules of this game.
Yes. The power that Nahindrian crystals grant you will bring about nothing but your own demise. The branches of the Tree of Sin are vast and verdant, but its only fruit is death. You will not be able to save yourself unless you reject everything that has been foisted upon you. Now you know everything.
No, we're not quite finished with the revelations yet. Few secrets remain to be revealed, but they will be worth the wait. Does this look familiar? Do you remember the similar wound above your own heart? I have given you enough hints. Come on, ask me the question I have been waiting for.
With a flick of the witch's wrist, something changed in her, as if a veil has fallen. One so thin that it's almost invisible, that which holds has clouded your vision, nonetheless. Now that you can see what was hidden before, a deep open wound above Aureli's heart. The wound pulsates as blood drips from it. I received my wound because you, Aurelia, implanted the essence of the abyss in my soul when you expanded the Worldwound. My question is, why do you have a similar wound? Could it be because you used your own soul as a key when you first opened the Worldwound?
That's right. And this means that the Worldwound actually has 2 keys.
Good question. Just imagine. I have wasted so much time chasing the key to the Worldwound, and the key was right under my nose this whole time. Aurelu, my love, come over here.
Aurelia does not look like someone who has been cornered. Without a trace of fear, she gives you a faint nod, and then makes a barely discernible gesture with her hand and disappears as if she was never here.
Wait! I said wait! That little bitch. I knew she would betray me sooner or later, but I never expected such an idiotic stunt. But everything seems to be falling into place quite nicely. You see, you don't have to die after all. Aurelu opened the Worldwound, and Aurelu will be the one who closes it, whether she likes it or not. Although, someone will need to catch her first, and this will require certain powers.
Yes, Aurelu Vorlesh will pay for her crimes with her life. Her flight confirms that our suppositions were correct. But now we know that the Worldwound can be sealed with her blood. You have no reasons to remain indebted to the Abyss and indulge the Queen of the Succubi. Reject her gift, and secure your victory while being the person you were before Aurelu Vorlesh corrupted you. Win as a mortal, and become a legend among mortals.
She's talking rubbish. True, we gave you the power, but it was you who chose how to wield it. It belongs to you, and it will remain yours, so you can do whatever you want with it. But first, you must use it to close the Worldwound. You aren't going to catch this world's most powerful witch, and a half-demon one at that, with your bare hands, are you?
Before I make my decision, I want to ask Iomade some questions.
Ask, and you shall have your answers.
You gained your own power from the Starstone. How is my power any different?
My ascension was not accomplished in one day, and even the test of the Starstone was only one of its stages. I did not merely gain power, I embraced a sacred duty. Your power, on the other hand, stems not from long hours of study, not from trials. It is not the natural talent you were born with and carefully honed throughout your life. It is the result of an evil soul's deranged experiment with the blood of dead abyssal lords.
You imprisoned entire hosts of angels inside the Wallstones. Why did you do that to them?
Every one of my angels volunteered for that mission. They all knew what kind of watch they were going to keep. They knew that it would be a hard and exhausting battle, but that the lives of mortals throughout Golarion would depend on it. Alas, angels' minds can be as fragile as the minds of mortals. In less than 100 years, many wavered and wished to break the oath they had sworn. I do not blame them. I blame myself for allowing them to take on a burden that was too heavy for them.
Did you send your herald to follow me to the Abyss, or did he go of his own free will?
He acted on his own noble impulse, and I did not stop him. I also did not try to dispel his misconception about you being my chosen one. I do not lie, but both celestial beings and mortals can be mistaken.
She doesn't lie, sure. She merely withholds some of the truth. For the noblest of reasons, of course.
You know what happened to your herald?
My herald, My loyal companion was captured, and now demons are using him to attack Dresden. They're holding him in the Ivory Labyrinth, Baphomet's realm of the Abyss. It is a place I cannot go, not even to save my faithful friend. For doing so would start an interplanar war. Right now, as we speak, Baphomet's servants are torturing the hand of the Inheritor. Tormented and anguished, he reaches for you with his thoughts and his soul. I cannot tell if he sees you as a great unfulfilled hope or a last chance. But Baphomet knows well how to exploit such desperate yearning. He has turned my herald into a source of power to open temporary portals. They do not last long, but they lead from the dungeon where the hand of the Inheritor suffers, right to your doorstep. Baphomet does not need to lead his armies through the rifts. Now he can send them right here. As long as my poor herald remains in the hands of that monster, this will not stop. I cannot say if it is still possible to save him, or if putting him out of his misery is the only way. I cannot openly ask you to intervene. But if you decide to do so, you will be helping both yourself and the one who chose the martyr's path when he followed you into the Abyss.
Ever since I acquired these powers, everyone has believed me to be Armida's chosen. Why didn't you do anything to dispel the misunderstanding?
At first, I did not know who you were, or where your powers originated. This was revealed to me only when my herald offered up his dying prayer from the depths of the Abyss. And following his desperate plea, I sought to confirm my suspicions. Until that point, I had observed you without intervening. After all, your crusade was securing victories, the first Golarion had seen in many years, so even if it was not I who had sent you into battle, it felt unfair to undermine you.
In other words, our Imperial guest had no problem with your power, as long as she didn't know where it came from. She didn't even share her suspicions with her own herald. And after all that, someone dares to claim that demons are the most deceitful creatures?
You should not blame someone else if you base your accusations on vague suspicions rather than solid proof. You call my behavior deceitful. You, of all creatures, who kept the commander ignorant of the fate you had chosen for him? Indeed, the insolence of demons knows no bounds.
Demon Lord stands before you. Why don't you destroy her right here and now?
I could. But then every other Demon Lord would decide that he or she was next and stand against me. In response to that, the Imperial Lords would take up arms. Then Hell, Heaven, and Elysium would join the conflict. A war would break out, one which mortals could not hope to survive.
Why have you decided to descend to the world of mortals at this particular moment?
As I have already said, I am here to open your eyes to Nocticula's lies and to prevent more calamities in the future. You are at a crossroads now. I will not force you to do anything, but you needed to learn the truth and have the chance to cleanse yourself.
Why did Aurilu do everything possible to lead us to the idea that she was the key too?
The impulses that drive a soul as black as hers are beyond my comprehension. Perhaps she was startled by my arrival and decided not to bother keeping a secret that was bound to be revealed. Or perhaps she is up to some cunning scheme. Be on your guard. The architect of the Worldwound will surely try to bring you down. For if she truly is a key, then it must mean that she will die sooner or later due to the influence of her own horrible creation. And that means that sacrificing you is her only chance of survival.
Explain to me again. How exactly can you help me cleanse myself of the influence of the Abyss?
Aurilu has planted a piece of the Abyss itself in your soul. The only thing that can cleanse the soul of such a taint is that same soul. It is time to make your decision then.
I want to ask my companion's advice. What do you think about all this?
Perhaps your power came from the Abyss. That your beautiful soul has cleansed it of all evil. Don't reject this power, for you have already proved that you are worthy of it.
Frankly, your mythic power brings more trouble than true pleasure. And I see no sense in holding on to something that doesn't bring pleasure.
Your power doesn't lie in magic tricks. You know it doesn't. Your real power is inside you. You can win without tricks.
Maybe I'm missing something here, but how can a demon grant the power of an angel? Listen, if you had no goodness inside, you couldn't have reached Lariel in the caves beneath Kenabres. I remember how once, long ago, you showed me the light of heaven. Maybe I didn't believe in you right away, but I believe in you now. You've proven time and again that you deserve the light of heaven. You are my commander, marked by an angel. This power rightfully belongs to you.
As a member of the Order of the God Claw, I ought to advise you to obey the will of the goddess, or at least to take it into consideration. But as your companion, who has spent a lot of time with you, I can't help but notice you have reforged demonic Nahindrian power into angelic power. This is a sign of order triumphing over chaos. Perhaps there is room for maneuver here. That is why I advise you to weigh all the options and make your own decision.
It's not my place to gainsay the will of my goddess, but the thing is, I can sense evil. And I don't sense it in your power at all. I just don't. Whatever those horned monsters had planned for you, you definitely aren't playing by their rules.
You gave hope to the Crusaders in their darkest hour, even when all seemed lost and only despair and death lay ahead. With these powers, you have saved countless lives, and you will save more. Of course you must keep them.
Someone pinch me. We are standing in the presence of the most pompous goddess in the world, debating whether we should listen to her or send her packing along with her invaluable opinions. I shall remember this moment for the rest of my life. Even as I stand in Pharasma's court, I shall tell this story to anyone who will listen. As to your original question, I'll be honest with you. Your power turns my stomach like sour prunes. Reject it, it can't hurt.
These dames are tough. But Iomade is as tough as you. If she tells you to do something, you better do what she says. I can feel it in my tail. You're good and righteous and all that, so do what the righteous goddess is telling you. Maybe it'll even make my life a smidge easier. After you, become more like a human.
Experience tells me that it's wiser to trust yourself and your own abilities. You can't trust what clients tell you. One day you're a hero, the next you're working for the enemy. Sorry, but it all looks like a setup to me. First they tell you to lay down your weapons, and then, once you're unarmed, they finish you off in some back alley.
Your powers are interesting from a theoretical point of view. You are an experiment started by Aurilu Vorlesh, and terminating it before it is complete would be foolish, not to mention impolite.
I've made my decision.
I am waiting for your answer. I hope you will choose wisely.
Quite right. Make your choice, and make it the right one.
I could become a gold dragon. Become a legend, which just makes you normal. I could finish becoming an angel. I'd be lying if I said the gold dragon wasn't interesting to me. Let's do it. We're gonna become an angel. Oh wow, overwhelming flames is nice. I'm gonna go with overwhelming flames. Choice is made. All you have to do is announce to everyone. You sacrifice your humanity to serve the force of good, Goddess. Do not judge me if I choose to do the same.
It pains me to hear that. But I am not your judge, and I shall not stand in your way. At least not until I see that Golarion is under threat. You have chosen your path. Farewell.
The celestial angel and the goddess of heaven agreed to disagree. Just imagine that. And Darren Arendelle has received a double dose of po-faced righteousness.
It would have been so foolish for you to reject your powers. So many victories, so many achievements lie ahead for you. Well, go now. Capture Arilu, and prove which of you is making the best use of her invention. I'll be watching you.
After Kula gives you a playful wink, the Demon Lord blows you a kiss and disappears. I mean, it'd be stupid of us not to continue being an angel. Anivia bounds up to you, rubbing her tired eyes with a wide smile plastered on her face. Can't believe it. What a victory. Light has returned to Dresden, and the demons are running crying back to their demon mummies. Dresden's been lost again and again, but again and again we win it back. You win it back, Commander. For light, for truth, for life. As you like now. It's been cleared of demons and is shining bright as a temple with 1,000 candles. I don't think it looked this good even back when it was first founded. This isn't victory yet. I won't stop until the last demon to get the punishment it deserves. You betcha. Those scumbags don't know what they're messing with. Who they're messing with, sorry. What's the situation at the front? Unknown. Her Majesty mustered all the troops she could, raised the Sword of Valor, and advanced on the demons. There's been no word from her since she left. Perhaps she's boldly taken ears even now. Maybe her bones already been picked clean by demons. We don't know, and I don't anyone will except you will be able to find out. But that's not all. Baphomet's minions keep taking swipes at us. The scumbags are holed up somewhere. The Ivory Labyrinth, I'll bet. And they keep opening portals in different spots, dropping off a dozen units, then closing the portal before we can get to them. We lost more scouts than I'd care to admit before we figured out how they were pulling off that little trick. Here's what I'm thinking. Maybe you could get one of those portals in time. You could be ready for them somehow. Then when one opens, you get inside and crack some skulls. They might even be holding the poor herald in there if he's alive. You can free him. How'd you feel after seeing the goddess in the flesh? My ears are still ringing from those trumpets. After witnessing that side, I don't think I could be surprised by anything ever again. You dared to go against the goddess, and she forgave you. My mind can't comprehend it. Irabeth laughs awkwardly. I was worried your impudence would be the death of us all, but now I think that you are strong enough to stand against the abyss even without heaven's help. As you just heard, I have to catch Arilu. Any idea where I should look for her? Not especially. She's been roaming the abyss all this time. Now that the avenue's closed to her, Nocticula, and the other Demon Lords are all slavering for a piece of her. I think she's someplace around here in the wound. Some nasty little place like Iz, or maybe even she went as far as Threshold. An entire army of demons enhanced by Nahindjan crystals was being sent here. It's being led by the demon named Mutasafan. Do you know anything about that? Scouts report the movement of a large demon army far to the southwest of Dresden. They were marching across a dried-out lake. Where there used to be a Sakuran holy place there, I heard. But where they went, nobody knows. They're not heading for us, and that's for sure. At least not yet. Thanks for the report. I'll be setting off without delay. Go on and fly. Chase the demons away from us. Now I know for sure the 5th Crusade will be the last. It's all over the fiends. For the fiends. They finally met their enemy who could never... They have met an enemy they could never see coming. Just do one more thing for me. Come back to Dresden, if you can. Folks are drawn to you, Light. Those who left are coming back, and new people are arriving. They need someone to tell them what to do. They need someone to show them. They need someone to lead them forward. Reginald looks slightly more tense than usual. Samael, I have fairly important news. I'll do my best to be brief. The Hell Knight Orders have not reacted well to the developments I mentioned in my latest report, specifically regarding the true source of your powers. They know the very notion that have been cooperating with a weapon forged by real Voresh and Nocticula have caused discontent. The Orders have not issued any official edicts, but many chaps and high-ranking knights have been recalled from their assignment and barricaded themselves in one of our outposts. The one you know of, in fact. I suggest you go there and resolve the issue between the Orders and the Crusaders. This is a matter of importance. How could you even think that reporting to the Orders would be a good idea? Do you really think I could withhold information from my superiors? Do not degrade me, or do yourself. Such a ridiculous question. What kind of reaction should I expect from the Hell Knights? Any, up to and including formal declaration of war, which is why you must go to the outpost and resolve the issue before it devolves into open conflict. Very well, I will go there as soon as possible. Excellent, that is all I had to report, so I return to my duties and you may attend to the other affairs. Commander, the Inquisitor greets you with a bow. I am sincerely gladdened by your return and was delighted to hear of your recent victories. It's a shame my duty has kept me away from the front line. I would like to take up a place in the ranks of your Crusaders, and perhaps I will still have a chance to do so before that but before that happens, we must address another issue. I suppose you've already guessed what has brought me here. We parted ways after we discovered the discoveries we made at Count Arunday's estate. You and I both know that the Count became a conduit for an unknown entity, which I call the Other. I retreated to Nerison, and the went beyond Mendev's borders, looking for mentions of such entities and ways to fight them. And now my search has borne fruit. I am ready to tell you about it. Why did your search take you so long? Because we are dealing with this rare phenomenon, a true anomaly. The Mendev Inquisition has amassed substantial experience in fighting demons. But here we are up against something completely different. I had to trawl through our archive searching for cases that seemed to be in a way similar. I sent inquiries to friendly temples, and reached out beyond our nation's borders to experts on the unknown. It was a dull and painstaking work, but it was necessary. So what have you learned of the Other? I must be honest, I still don't know what it is. However, I managed to find some evidence of similar incidents involving individuals who, in a horrible moment in their life, became a gateway for a known entity. The most curious part is all these cases appeared almost sequential. They happened in various corners of Glarion, but no incidents ever occurred at the same time. That leads me to think that we are dealing with a single entity, one that has been secretly present in our world for a long time, merely changing its gateways on occasion. But I do not know what this entity is. I managed to find something of great value. A Varisian arcanist managed to pick up on the trail of the Other, and invented a ritual to weaken and bind it. She died under very suspicious circumstances. Her decapitated body was found in her laboratory. Her head was never found. But a note survived, including the description of the ritual. I've discussed it with the several highly esteemed experts in magic, and am inclined to consider this a reliable weapon. You can use the ritual to lure the entity out, bind it, and probably exterminate it, but to do that, I need your assistance, Command. What do we need to do? We must be carefully prepare the ritual, and then bring the Count Arunday to the designated location. The ritual will lure out the Other and weaken it to its connection with the Count, and bind its essence to our world like an anchor. The last part is especially important. All the evidence indicates that while the gateway is active, the Other can freely traverse between the material plane and some known space that lies beyond. If we fail to bind the Other with a ritual, it'll either escape, or in the worst case scenario, drag us into its realm. Hence, we must lure it out and then, I suppose, defeat it. There is one more issue, aside from the fact that we'll have to fight this incredibly powerful and horrifying creature. The Other suspicion must not be aroused until the very last moment, and this means the Count must know nothing as well. The best course of action would be to take the Count to the designated location without telling him the reason for the journey. Then we must frighten him, and make it appear that his life is in danger. The Other will believe that its gateway is in peril, and then, I hope, it will show it up to protect it. The ritual circle will work as a trap, but it is crucial, and I stress this, that we convince the entity that we know nothing of its existence and that Darian who is in danger, not the entity itself. Otherwise, there is no knowing what may happen. and I don't want to give the adversary any chance to outmaneuver us. Why do you think the Other will protect Darien? The Count must be in danger many times before and nothing special has ever happened. You have a special connection with your companions, Commander. You shared part of your mythic powers with them. They journeyed through the abyss with you and survived to tell the tale. I believe the Other understands this. It must also understand how dangerous it would be if it were to become not a benefactor, but an enemy to its gateway. I'm uncertain that it will react to the threat coming from you, as opposed to ordinary encounters with demons and cultists. How dangerous is it? It is extremely dangerous, which is why I've come to you with all this. All the evidence I've collected on the Other, in particular the list of its victims, which include powerful demons and strong mortal mages, make me certain that we are dealing with something extraordinary here. It is stronger and more dangerous than Balor's and other generals of the Abyss. I also suspect that the oracle powers that the Count has developed come from the Other. As a rule, only gods, imperial lords, and other extremely powerful beings are capable of granting such abilities. I know no one except for you who could challenge such an entity. I'm asking for you to help, for the safety of all who dwell in Golarion. However, I believe that we could shore up our strategic position if the Other doesn't suspect we're preparing a trap until the very last moment. Even the most dangerous of creatures become more vulnerable when caught off guard. The main thing is we take a methodical approach and stay alert. I think that's within our abilities. I'm sure this Other is hostile towards us, and all this time it's never tried to attack me. I am certain that this entity is dark and truly evil. The evidence of my instincts as an Inquisitor are undeniable. Whenever the aura of Other manifests itself, strange and ominous things begin to happen. In particular, I am positive that it is responsible for the magically decapitated corpses, the ones that were found at Heaven's Edge, and the tragedy in the Kenabres after Deskari's attack. In both places, some of the corpses belong to civilians and others to demons, and in Kenabres, some of the victims were cultists. I'm convinced that the Other is pursuing some interest of its own, and thus far it has ruthlessly exterminated any who learn of its existence. And now, you and I know that it exists. Draw your own conclusions. If Darien is the gateway, can't we just slam this gateway shut and leave the Other on the other side? We can, by killing the Count, the Inquisitor answers simply. But first, I am not sure that the Other won't try to protect its gateway. In that case, we would have to face it unprepared. And secondly, I'm opposed to the idea in principle. Sometimes Inquisitors must make hard decisions. I have made a great many in my lifetime. For instance, I can kill a person possessed by demons, if he or she is at imminent risk of taking many lives, and I have no time to perform an exorcism. But in this instance, the situation is not so critical. We have a way of fighting the Other. I will not agree to commit cold-blooded murder, not even the murder of someone as disgraceful as Count Arenday. I'll help you. Thank you. Now let's go to over the entire operation once more. I am convinced that we must lure out the Other somewhere far from Dresden and other populated areas to avoid civilian casualties. I have chosen a suitable location within the Worldwound. Second guy? I'll mark it on your map. You must bring the Count there without alerting him to what is about to happen. I assume that another foray into the Worldwound will hardly raise his suspicions. I will await you there, with the ritual circle prepared, but before we reach the crucial moment, you must make the Count and the Other believe that the Count is in danger. I suppose the easiest way to do that is you tell him you've made a deal with the Mendev Inquisition, and the Count will have to face punishment for his crimes, real or imaginary. I'll find a way to intimidate him, but you must play along. We need to provoke the Other to come out and protect its gateway. That's when we finish it off once and for all. This case will be my greatest triumph or my greatest failure, but I firmly believe that it must be done. Remember my words, the Other must be convinced that we are not a threat to the Count, and that we know nothing of its existence. Slightest suspicion could prove fatal for us. Until we meet again, Commander, and may the gods be with us. Well, Iomedae, my patron, like the god I am actually loyal to, isn't currently in good, she doesn't really like me that much. Okay.